Hello, my name is Jan Knodel. I'm a professor and extension entomologist for North Dakota State University. I'd like to acknowledge my coworkers, Veronica Calez-Torres and Pat Bose. Today I'm going to talk to you about two species of midge that are occurring in soybean. Midge belong to the order Diptera or fly and the family Cediomyidae or gall gnats. Here's the outline of my talk today. First, I'll talk about the soybean gall midge, Rhizolenia maxima. This is an economic insect pest on soybean. We'll briefly discuss its life cycle, crop damage, and integrated pest management strategies. The second species is the white moldgoll midge, Karshomyia caulicola. This one is not an economic insect on soybean. Then we'll talk about how to distinguish between the two midge species and what to do if you find soybean gall midge in North Dakota. Little bit of background on soybean gall midge. It was first detected in Nebraska in 2011. It was not a pest problem then, it was just in a few isolated fields. In 2015, it was found in South Dakota, 2016 in Iowa, and also the range expanded in east central Nebraska. In 2018, severe infestations were found in Iowa, Nebraska, and South Dakota. And the first detection was found in Minnesota. Then it was finally identified as a new species of midge in the world by Dr. Gagne. We do not know for sure if this particular species is native to North America or invasive to North America. In 2019, it was found in the fifth state, Missouri. The soybean gall midge life cycle has 2 to 3 generations per year. Let's start with the adult stage. Adults are short-lived and only expected to be around for 3 to 5 days. In Nebraska, the first generation emerges in mid-June. The adults emerge and the male and female will mate, and then the female will lay eggs on the plants or in the natural wounds or openings in the stem of soybeans. The eggs hatch into larvae and they go through 3 different instars or growth stages and feed on the soybean plant for 2 to 3 weeks. The early instars are white, whereas the more mature instars are orange to orangish red. Once they're mature, they'll fall off the plant and pupate in the soil. And then the cycle will repeat itself. For the last generation occurring in the fall, they will overwinter as larval cocoons or pupae in the soil. For field symptoms to look for soybean gall midge, look for wilting soybean plants in the early vegetative stage. Later on, you may see stem darkening, usually near the base of the plant, but it can be found further up on the stem as well. If you peel back the outer epidermis, you will see the larvae underneath. Here's a close-up of the larvae. Once the outer epidermis is peeled back, you can see the younger white larvae as well as some orange mature larvae. And it's not uncommon to see different stages of larvae. Soybean gall midge is an edge insect, so the damage is greatest on the field edges. And you may notice in a severe field that all the plants on the edge are dead. You might also notice on the edge some of the plants snap off easily from the base, or the stems are swollen down near the base. This is characteristic of this group of insects causing galls. As you move from the field edge where there's more dead plants to the field centers, you'll see more normal plants. And of course, this would affect plant stand. As you're close to the field edge where the infestations are higher, there's less stand. As you get out into the center of the field, at least more than 100 feet from the edge, you can see the plant stand has increased and is closer to normal. And yes, soybean gall midge does have a negative impact on yield. All those small dead plants reduce the pods and seed, and that translates into yield loss. Now, near the center of the field, the yield loss is only 20%, but as you get towards the edge, it can be as high as 100%. Crop rotation with a non-host of soybean gall midge like corn and wheat has been determined to be important. In this graph, we're showing the number of soybean gall midge cocoons that were found in the soil. And at the first location, Ithaca, you can see they had a very high number of cocoons, and this was due to the continuous cropping of soybeans for 3 years in a row. So they weren't practicing a cropping rotation system. At the other sites, Eagles, Waverly, and Fremont, the number of cocoons is much lower, and this is where they were practicing a crop rotation system with corn and soybean. Some of the other integrated pest management strategies besides crop rotation are late planting dates in June. This has been shown to have a lower incidence of soybean gall midge infestation compared to earlier planting dates in May. For chemical control, insecticide seed treatments have very little efficacy and just over the overwintering or the first generation. For foliar insecticides that were timed at the emergence of the adult soybean gall midge, we only saw a 50% reduction in infestation, and we do need to do a lot more research on chemical control as well as other integrated pest management strategies. Due to the economic importance of soybean gall midge, a regional survey was organized to determine the distribution of soybean gall midge in 12 Midwestern states. And the leader of this group is Dr. Justin McKinnon from the University of Nebraska. And you can see all the infested states, they saw continued spread of soybean gall midge as shown by the yellow dots. And the blue dots is the states that found no soybean gall midge. Here's the current distribution of soybean gall midge as of 2020. It's been found in 114 counties in the 5 infested states. Unfortunately, it is getting very close to North Dakota in the southeast corner in Richland County. So we need to be very aware of that and look for this pest. We have surveyed in 2019 and 2020 for soybean gall midge and soybean in North Dakota, thanks to funding from the North Dakota Soybean Council. We focused mainly in the eastern and southeast corner of North Dakota in 2019. In 2020, we surveyed more widely across the state thanks to the Integrated Pest Management Survey Program, and we had 47 counties that we looked in. We also had some reports in Steele, Cass, and Dickey County of orange larvae inside the stems of their soybeans. We were able to get samples from Cass and Dickey and had those confirm that they're not soybean gall midge, but the white moldgoll midge. So far, no soybean gall midge in North Dakota yet. We need to continue to be prudent and scout. Moving on to the white moldgoll midge. This midge is mycetiophagous feeding, so it feeds on fungi, and it likes the white mold Sclerotinia fungus. And both the midge and the white mold has been observed in soybean, dry beans, canola, potato, and sunflowers and poppy flowers. And remember, this one does not cause yield loss in soybeans. But as you can see from the pictures, it looks very much like the soybean gall midge, so we are concerned that it will be confused. We did survey work in 2018 and 19, and we found it in the southeast corner mainly of North Dakota and fairly widespread in Minnesota. It's also been found in Wisconsin, Quebec, and Manitoba up in Canada. And this particular species is native to North America, so we can expect it to be more widespread. For separation of the adult midges by species, the white moldgoll midge has gray antenna, legs, and wings, as you can see in the picture. And the abdominal tergites and sternites are subdivided horizontally. For the soybean gall midge, there's white and black banding on the legs. For the male, the wings are mottled. And the abdominal termites and sternites are uniformly sclerotized. And there's a taxonomic key that you can use that has been developed by Gagne. So in here we have the larvae. As you can see, they look a lot alike, and we really can't use the larvae to distinguish or identify the two different species. They're both white or orange. Some entomologists say the soybean gall midge are darker orange, more of a reddish orange, as you see in the picture. However, we need to collect these larvae if you see them and get them DNA tested to determine their species identification. Another characteristic you can use for identification is the timing in the field, location, and the location on the plant. For the white moldgoll midge, they're later in the season after flowering and after the white mold infection has occurred. And they can be present anywhere where the white mold is present. And they're always associated with that white mold in the infected stems or pods. For soybean gall midge, you can see them earlier in the vegetative stage. In Nebraska, they found them as early as the third leaf stage. And again, they're concentrated on field edges, especially the field edge that is close to the previous year's soybean field. Because remember, they overwinter in the soil of last year's soybean field, so they'll be coming out and moving to your new planted soybean fields. And they're underneath the epidermis of the stem, so you need to remove that tissue. So what to do if you do see some midge larvae feeding in the stems of your soybeans? Don't panic. Collect some larvae, place them into a glass vial with rubbing alcohol or ethanol. Record your county, date, GPS coordinates, and your contact info. And if you don't have glass vials with ethanol, you can get some from your local county extension agent or me. And then be sure you contact us and we will get the DNA tested to determine which species it is. I'd like to thank the North Dakota Soybean Council, North Central Soybean Research Program, and the United Soybean Board. Thank you.